Yo, what's going down, everybody? It is straight out of Boston here, aka the King of Boston, and today we are back for episode 29 of the Around the League series, and today we are going to be covering the Charlotte Bobcats. Now, the Bobcats are obviously one of the worst teams in baseball. They had historically the worst season in NBA history last season during the lockout year, and they're having another pretty bad one this year. A potential 20-game winner, I believe. I think they're 18-60 as I speak right now. I'm not sure if they're playing tonight, though, which would be Wednesday night. So I don't know. So they could win 20 games. It's possible. I think they have to go 2-2 their last 4. But either way, a terrible team, a lottery team, a cell dweller, a franchise that hasn't been anything since it came into the league. It had one good year when they made the playoffs in 2010, I believe. But that group was, a group of guys who they blew up almost immediately because they knew that it was a team that wasn't going any further than, where it was, so to say. It just kind of peaked as a group. So, now they're rebuilding, and I think it was the smart thing to do, was to blow up that team. It was clearly a team that wasn't going anywhere. It was clearly a team that had, its best players were Steven Jackson and Gerald Wallace. Do you really think there's going to be a championship team with your best players being Steven Jackson and Gerald Wallace? It was a great move to almost disband that team in that just kind of rebuild, move on from there. And even though they didn't make great trades trading away those two guys, you know what? At least, you're not stuck with those guys in your cap for the next few years. So now they have a few nice players. They have Kemba Walker, they have Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, they have Bismack Biyombo, they have B.J. Mullins, Byron Mullins, and then, Gerald Henderson, Ben Gordon, not the worst players in the world. I mean, I think that Kemba Walker is going to be a franchise point guard for this team. He's a great point guard. He can work on his outside shooting a little bit more, but he's got a great finishing game. He can drive to the rim. The next step for him is using his playmaking ability to create shots for other guys and becoming a pure point guard. If not, I could see him moving to the 2 down the road as an undersized 2. But for now, I think he's a great ball handler, so he can handle the ball playing point guard. I want him to take that next step into becoming a pass-first type guy. If you look at the longevity of point guards this could be a style difference between the NBA 10 years ago and the NBA today. But if you look at the point guards that have lasted throughout their careers, it's the guys that got other guys involved, not just the guys who could score for themselves. The Steve Nashes, the Jason Kidds of the world, the Tony Parkers, those type of guys. Even the Chris Pauls. Those are the type of guys that have lasted because of their ability to, get other guys involved, not just themselves. All those guys that I just listed were pure pass-first point guards. So, maybe it's a new style of the NBA, with the guys like Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, and Kemba Walker all being kind of score, shoot-first point guards. But you know what? I think that the guys that will last in the league for the long haul are going to be the guys that, like I said, can find ways to get other guys involved. Because, anyway, it's not hard to find a 10-point scorer, 15-point scorer in the NBA. It's very hard to find an 8-assist-a-night guy. And I'm not saying that 10 points is equivalent to 8 assists, but I'm saying that, you can find ball handlers who can score the ball. It's hard to find ball handlers who are unselfish enough to get other guys involved. So, that's the next step for Kemba Walker. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist has looked pretty good for his rookie season. The stats won't, make it seem like that, but he's looked very good. He's had a few nice, really good posters this year. He posterized Greg Monroe earlier. It's clear that he's a hard worker, and you can tell by the way he plays. He gets, for a guy who's only, 6'7", he gets like 8 rebounds a game. He's a hard worker. You know what? He works hard in the gym. He's been working on his outside shot. It's clear that the guys love him. If you remember that injury that he suffered in Houston, I believe it was, when he hurt his neck on that dunk, or I think he got kneed in the back or something like that by one of his teammates. It was clear that everyone was upset for him. Obviously you never root for an injury to somebody, but it was clear that, because it was him, everyone was a little bit more sad than they usually would have been. It was clear that this guy's loved by many, and that's good. Charlotte needs guys like that. And I like Kidd-Gilchrist. I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar in the NBA, but I like his potential. I think he'll carve out a solid starting role in this team for the future. I do like his potential. Byron Mullins is a guy that's really emerged this year. He is somebody who is a 7-footer who can really shoot the ball. And he's not the best rebounder in the world. He's not a very good defender. But 7-footers who can shoot, they got value. And, if you combine him with a guy like Bismack Biyombo, if Biyombo pans out to be a 10 and 8 type of guy, let's say he pans out to be DeAndre Jordan. I think that'd be great if Biyombo could become DeAndre Jordan. If you pair him with a stretch center like Byron Mullins, that's a pretty nice combo. Mullins is only in his 4th or 5th year, I believe, so he's still relatively young. It's not like he's a wily old veteran. He was a first-round draft pick, I believe. So I think that if Mullins can find consistency in his game, and Biombo can pan out as a good shot blocker and athletic type of big, that's not a bad combo for the future. So those are the 4 guys that I really like on this team. Gerald Henderson is a solid role player. I think he'll carve himself out to be a solid role player for the future. Ben Gordon's the guy that they acquired in the offseason. They got rid of Corey Maggotti's expiring contract for Ben Gordon's non-expiring contract, but they got a first-round pick out of it, which is good because they don't need cap space. I don't know why the Pistons did that deal anyway. I don't know why they need cap space. I don't think they're going to be making any big runs at free agents this year, but either way, I think it was a great move by the Bobcats by the fact that they got a first-round pick out of it. And like I said, Ben Gordon, he's not the best player in the world. He'll have nights where I think he dropped 40 at one point, either this year or last year, on like 9 threes, but he's just there until his contract's out. He's not like a long-term piece for this team. And I don't know if Gerald Henderson really is either. I think, like I said, he's a solid role player. Maybe he can start. This kind of reminds me of a 6th man type almost. But after that, everyone else on this team, I'm not big fans of. Jeff Adrian, Tyrus Thomas, Josh McRoberts. Not really big fans of anyone else on this team. Ramon Sessions is very good. He's a very good role player, but that's where he belongs. He's a role player. He's never going to be a starter in the NBA. I don't know why the Bobcats signed him. They should have traded him, in all honesty, at the deadline if they could have. I feel like, I don't know if anyone needed a point guard, but I feel like they could have found someone maybe who could have given him even just a 2nd-round pick for him because he's not needed on that team. But anyway, I think this team needs to find its direction and needs to figure out what players are going to be there for the long haul. As for the draft, I think they should look to draft a big, I'm not sold on Biombo. I'm not even sold on Byron Mullins finding consistency in his game. So I think they should go big. They don't need a point guard. They don't need a small forward. Kid Gilchrist and Walker have looked very good. And I think that Gerald Henderson and Ben Gordon are going to be there for at least a year or 2 longer. So I think it is a good idea to go big. If they can get Nerlens Noel, that'd be awesome. Other than that, there aren't many bigs that I'm in love with in this draft, which sucks because I'm a Celtics fan and they need bigs. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about this team. I do like a few of their players. I think they have room to grow, but I think it's gonna be a while before this team's any good. Sad to say for Bobcats fans. I do like Jeff Taylor too. Jeff Taylor's nice. He reminds me a lot of a guy in Toronto, Alan Anderson, production-wise more than anything else. But I think they're both just kind of good role players off the bench. Guys like that. And every team needs guys like that. So, they have some nice pieces. I got player of the game with Gennaro Pargo in this gameplay. That was crazy. Gennaro Pargo really shoots the lights out. Kind of a journeyman point guard. But that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. Let me know what you guys think of the Charlotte Bobcats. Like I said, a team that needs to figure out where it's going from here. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy. And so I'm out. Peace.